Hey everybody! So today we're going to be talking some more about the Galactic Center, specifically about how to perhaps incorporate the GC into chart weaving, some ideas. We're going to be looking at a chart from somebody else that has volunteered as tribute to let me use their chart. Thank you so much. I will not name you by name. I have your name. It's not on the chart I'm going to show. But thank you for allowing me to do this. You know who you are. I'm going to be pointing out some things that I would look at if I were going to actually read this chart from the lens of the GC. I'm not going to go into anything too personal. I feel like this particular chart, with what's contacting the GC, it could get more personal very quickly because there is a South Node connection to the GC. But before I get into any of that, I want to start with my disclaimer that while I do feel like I have a pretty good handle on the GC, on the Galactic Center from a scientific point of view and an astrological one, kind of fusing them together or trying to fuse them together, I am in no way, shape, or form an expert. So these are just some ideas. I reserve the right to find any and or all of them wrong later on, if that ends up being the case. Because fucking with shit is how we learn new things. And sometimes, you know, we get things right at first. Sometimes we have to tailor them. Sometimes we find out they are completely wrong altogether. This is how we learn. And we can't be afraid to do this. So, or that's what my, my Aries North Node wants to think. Anyway, you know, this is how we learn, trying new things. Trying things that are kind of scary or putting yourself out there like that. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna look at this chart. Okay, so this person, the Galactic Center is not pulled on this chart, but they have the North Node conjunct the GC. They have the South Node, a Mercury Mars conjunct the anti-center down here in the 5th house. Jupiter's not retrograde. Chiron is retrograde. And they have sextiles from the Galactic anti-center. The Descendant, Moon, and Pluto are sextile the anti-center, and they are trine the GC. Okay, so let's talk first about the Galactic Center with their North Node conjunct the GC in the 11th house. So right there with their North Node, and I realize some people don't like the past life thing, or with the South Node. I know some people don't. You don't have to think about the South Node as past lives if you don't want to. You can just think about it as energy that you bring into in this lifetime, omitting the past life idea, right? I want to throw that out there before I get started. But I will be referring to it from a past life point of view because I do think past lives exist. I think that we have them. But you don't have to agree with that or read the South Node that way. You just think of it as things that we inherently bring into this life. Okay, so the North Node is what like your soul's mission is, one of them. So is the Pluto polarity point. I'm not getting into that though right now. but the North Node is like one of the soul's missions. So this person having their North Node pretty dead ass on the Galactic Center does make me think that their North Node mission does certainly tie into the GC. It might really amplify the importance of their mission. You could very easily do that. It could even distort their mission. Their mission could be somewhat distorted to them. That may not be a bad thing necessarily. There may be a purpose for that. I don't know. This is not a client of mine. I've never read this person's chart from just a regular astrological lens. So I don't really know. That would remain to be seen. But those are some ways that you could play around with that. I could see it going either of those ways. Either way it goes, though, amplifying, distorting, it definitely charges it. There's definitely like a charge to their mission, and they probably do feel this charge. I would imagine that they do feel like they were put here to do something. I do feel like they probably do. I feel like a North Node conjunct the GC would probably feel that way. That they may not know what that mission is. They may not know what it is they're supposed to do. But I do think that they would probably have some sense that they were put here for a reason. That's not to say I think we're all put here for some reason, but it does feel like this feeling would be charged for this person. It would be charged. Whether that's a charge in more of a distorted way or a charge in just like an amplified way, but it does feel like it would be charged. Now, they also have, on the opposite end of things, they have Mercury and the South Node and Mars conjunct the anti-center. Now, that's three things that are essentially getting struck by lightning. Let's be real here. All three of these things are probably damaged or being damaged. But because there are three things here, it does feel like the damage might be more dispersed over the three things, versus one thing constantly being hit. Yeah, it feels like there's just each planet, each of the planets and the South Node, while they certainly sustain what I feel like is probably damage, since it's dispersed over three things, it's probably each thing is damaged less than, say, if only the South Node was there. This makes me feel like with the South Node involved, right, there are definitely some, what I would call past life things going on here. I would have to sit with that longer to try to figure that, because I know that's important here. I know that is. If you see a South Node conjunct the anti-center, you are definitely probably going to want to look at things from a past life lens too, if you believe in past lives, because I do think that probably helps to flesh it out more too. But essentially, they in this lifetime they bring Mercury energy and Mars energy. They're comfortable, and when I say comfortable, I do not necessarily mean that they like it, but they are comfortable with that energy. It is part of their past life story. And since the anti-center, right, can be like blinding and it can be like clouding, I do wonder if this person, while they may know that they have a mission, right, per the North Node conjunct the GC, I do wonder if having the South Node at the anti-center makes it to where it could make it harder or more challenging to see what needs to be worked through from a past life lens. I feel like it could. Now, when the lightning strikes here, I feel like when the energy gets going with the GC, so much energy, shoots over to the anti-center or whatever it does. I feel like it'll hit that stuff there, right? And it does damage it, but it kind of might light it up for a second, making things clear. What exactly the catalyst is for doing that, for the energy being too much at the GC and this happening, I don't really know. I figure it's probably a transit thing, progression thing, could even be a synastry thing. There'd be lots of lots of catalysts for this. But the lightning striking it while it damages it, it might light it up and give this person the ability to actually see or feel what actually needs to be better understood from a previous lifetime lens. Because there are definitely things there, right, with with Mercury. Because here's the thing, this person does come into this life with Mercury and Mars energy tied to their south node. But because it is blinded, while they understand it, I do wonder how well they actually understand how their Mercury in Cancer, or sorry, their Mars in Cancer and their Mercury in Gemini actually function for them. Like, I think they have I'm not going to say they don't understand it at all, because that sounds kind of stupid, but I think there probably are things that are not understood about them completely. Not completely. That when the lightning strikes it, while it damages it, it also maybe makes them able to feel this. Now, they have trines. They have their descendant trine, the trine, the GC sextile, the anti-center. They have their moon and Pluto also sextile the anti-center and trine the GC. Now, in this case, because they have the moon there, I would, if I were them, I would focus on the moon. I think the moon is probably going to be the best translator. Because the angle, right, the descendant, it's I mean, it's obviously real in their chart, but it's not a real tangible body in the sky. And Pluto is Pluto's generational. It's a generational planet. So a lot of people born around when this person was, and even later on, right, they're going to have this trine. So, and that's still beneficial. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not. If you just have like a trine to, if Pluto's the only thing trine, still work with it. I'm certainly not saying not to. But if you have an inner planet, a personal planet that's trine the GC and sextile the anti-center, that's the one that you should go with, I think, first. You should understand everything trine, right? But the best translator of the bunch is probably going to be the one that's a personal planet, an inner planet. Probably, anyway, I would think. So this person should really understand their moon, their emotions. Specifically, because the moon is so close to the descendant, I might say the shadow side of their emotions probably plays in heavily to how this is translated, how they translate their mission from the GC, how they bring this down to earth, and how they ground the stuff from the anti-center. I would think the shadow side of their emotions plays into this quite a bit. I would think it does. I would definitely, that is kind of the way that my mind goes. Now, what's also interesting here is, I mentioned Pluto being involved. Pluto is generational. Pluto also can operate kind of like the South Node, with the Pluto polarity point in the opposite house, directly opposite. I don't believe you can pull this on a chart. So just wherever your Pluto is in your chart, directly opposite is the Pluto polarity point. So their Pluto is also involved in this, in the translation of this, which is another type of South Node, right? Their South Node is conjunct the anti-center. So it's being shocked. So that part of their past life story is probably kind of blinded or clouded over, right? But the lightning strikes and they can actually maybe feel certain things about it that they couldn't feel before. To really get in touch with like stuff that needs to be worked on with Mercury and Mars per the conjunction to the South Node and the anti-center. Understanding their Pluto from a past life lens or from a what they carry into this lifetime lens I think is very important. Because this part, they actually can see and feel. And the translation from the ship from the GC actually plays into this. So their chart is interesting. I think this chart is interesting from not only a GC lens, but a previous lifetime lens, which I will admit is some of my favorite fucking work to do. It really is. I love doing this. The past life, future life, kind of, I love doing this work. So this chart definitely caught my attention in that regard. But those would be the things that I would look at here, for sure. That would be what would catch my attention the most. And there is a lot in this chart to catch your attention for a lot of different reasons. But I am going to go ahead and get going because I don't want to get too personal with this on Instagram and YouTube. I don't want to get too personal. So, but that is what I would look at. Just some things to kind of, just some ways. I'm probably thinking, what's the point of this then? Well, it's just, I guess, going to show how my mind works when I'm reading and like what would stand out most to me and kind of where my mind would go with it. That doesn't mean that your mind has to go the same way. We're all different. We all read differently. But that is kind of where I would go with this. Anyway, I'm going to get going. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck With Astrology. I am at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Abaturno Astrology on Instagram. If you want to like and subscribe or whatever the fuck people do on YouTube, you can find us by searching for Let's Fuck With Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you do the Reddit thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck With Astrology. And if you are interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.